So thank you, Miles. All right. What I would like to do, since there are now 12 of us, is to have everybody introduce yourselves. The bulk, I'm kind of split between the board and also the first project that's going to be presented. So I will just say that I am like I said, the co-chair of this part of the NAC. I'm really, really thrilled to see that Dr. Alison Balbag has joined us. And yes, Jim and I both know her from the Beaverton Arts Commission as well. So let's go ahead and have the board members introduce themselves first. Olivia, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Olivia Ross. I am the recorder for our Sexton Mountain NAC, and I'm a sophomore in high school at Mountainside. Go Mavs. Okay. Jim, I nominate you to go next.
All right. Hi, Jim Blade. How many years has it been, Sharon, now that we've been, this is the third year, right?
I think this is the third year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I passed on recording duties to Olivia, who's knocking it out of the park. I'm now treasurer. And as Sharon mentioned, I'm also on the BAC, where I've been serving. Now it's my 8th year. And now Alison is our new chair, and Sharon is a great member. And I will pass it to Mark.
I'm the risk and contract manager with Walton Hills Park and Recreation District. And I've been on this representing the district, I think, for about 4 years.
Excellent. And who do you want to pass on to?
How about Miles?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Miles Glowacki. I'm the neighborhood program coordinator for the city of Beaverton. How about Steve Sparks?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephen Sparks. I'm with the Beaverton School District, and I'll be presenting to you a little bit later. Oh, and Joe, have you introduced yourself already?
I have not, but thank you. Yeah, hi, Joe Dills with Angelo Planning Group. I'm one of the consultants working on the project we'll present to you tonight, and here on behalf of the city of Beaverton. And I will pass it over to Emma, and then she can pass it to another member on our team.
Hi, this is Emma Porricolo. I am also from Angelo Planning Group, working on the ASR project, presenting with Joe, and I will pass it on to Ronan.
Thanks, Emma. This is Ronan Igloria. I'm with GSI Water Solutions. I'm the project manager for the consultant team supporting the city on the Beaverton Aquifer Storage Recovery Facility and program. I think I'll go ahead and pass it on to David Winship.
Hi, I'm Dave Winship, Principal Engineer at the City of Beaverton in the Public Works Department. And I've been working on this project since it started somewhere around 2015 or 16.
And David, you've been with the city for how long?
32.
Yes, I remember you from
a ways back. Yeah.
Way back. Yeah. Yes. And who are you passing on to?
I've forgotten who else.
Raise your hand if you haven't been chosen yet.
Yeah.
I'll jump in. This is Carl Sonnenberg. I haven't been to one of these for a long time. I travel a lot in my business as an architect and always seem to have conflicts, but I live about 2 blocks east of Sexton Mountain School. And I think I just want to give a shout out to Olivia for participating at a young age. So great.
And how did you find out about tonight's meeting?
I get an email. I'm on the email list and I've often planned on attending, but something seems to always come up, a public meeting for another neighborhood somewhere where one of our projects are going.
We appreciate you coming tonight. Thanks. Allison?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alison Balbag, and Sharon already gave me a nice introduction at the beginning. I know Sharon and Jim, they are fellow arts commissioners, so it's great seeing them here. And I am here to, I'm interested in joining Neighbor Southwest. So thanks.
Did I hear chairing Neighbor Southwest?
Yes.
Okay. Not just joining.
Thanks, Sharon.
Absolutely. Who has not been, let's see, I'm looking around. Who has not spoken yet?
Hi, I'm Shauna. I'm the one with the name that's hard to pronounce. So like, I always get picked last because everybody's like, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm going to pass it to somebody else. So I do the social media for the Sexton Mountain NAC.
And thank you for doing that. Have we covered everybody? Okay. I don't see Paul Fleckenstein. Did he say he was not able to come, Miles?
He's usually out on patrol, so if he's on a call, then he may join us later.
Okay. All right. I had some questions about stuff that's been happening in this side of Beaverton. Mark, you're up.
Got to go off of mute first. So some good news. Last week, Washington County's COVID cases dropped to a level in which we're able to reopen our buildings. So today, Conestoga Rec Center as well as Cedar Hills Recreation Center opened. So those facilities are open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. until about 6:30, 7 p.m. Currently, they're remaining closed on the weekends, but they are offering weight room access, fitness classes, as well as Conestoga will have water walking and lap swim. Also opened is the Babette Hortonstein Tennis Center. That is open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and also on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 5. Next week, we'll be able to open up the athletic center starting Monday the 22nd, and that'll be open for weight training, walking around the track, and some youth classes and fitness programs. As you can imagine, trail use still remains high. Trails are attracting large numbers of people, even through the snow and ice. And we just like to remind people, to clean up after their pets, and then also continue to wear masks to make sure everybody is staying safe. Our park patrol is out and monitoring the trails this month with a new electric vehicle. So you may see a little, we call it a golf cart type apparatus out on the trails. This is going to allow staff to be able to not have to walk trails for such a long distance. They can actually be out there driving around. Dog parks, due to the winter weather conditions, we've been trying to add more chips to the dog parks and the dog runs to continue allowing those access during this inclement weather. As you can imagine, summer planning is underway. They're starting to look at trying to offer summer camps and some things similar to what we did last year. Again, with COVID and all the various risk levels and what we can open and not open, we will remain fluid in our planning. But they are looking at a summer registration starting around May 1st. And so if you would like more information on that, just keep your eye out on our websites, and I'm sure we'll also continue with our social media updates. This Sunday, they are going to be holding Native American Youth and Family Center and Color Outside the Lines is going to host a second series of a talking wall over at Greenway Park. The murals that they're going to work on this time is going to have a Native American artist and will speak to the rich culture and history that this area has had in the previously. The mural work will begin around 11:30 this Sunday, and there is more information on our website regarding that. I have some exciting news for this NAC in particular. I know that the 4 years I've been serving on this committee with you, you've always asked about the trail that goes from West Side Trail to the west and trying to connect to the Sexton Mountain Road and the elementary school. We have an internal design team that is going to begin master planning in the next coming weeks. And I happen to sit on that committee, so I will be able to give you updates accordingly.
Perfect.
Public engagement process will start in about 2 to 4 months after we meet with the architects and the design team to work through some of the particulars. So I will let you know in the next few months the public engagement side and what that process will look like. Construction currently is planned for spring, summer of 2023. So it's about a 2-year process in most of our projects because of regulatory and budget constraints. As usual, we have lots of volunteer opportunities, fitness in the park, classes online. We're doing some virtual classes. All that information is available online at thprd.org. I'd be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Did I see something about the computer systems for registration are down?
We've had, I know, some computer issues off and on. I don't know about that particular system. Everything seems to be running right now.
Oh, okay. I got, somebody told me that we couldn't, there was the registration system was down. They weren't able to take payments.
I hadn't heard anything. I know that there was something last week, but then we were closed due to weather, so.
Okay.
I wanted to pass on a compliment. I often walk up to the top of Sexton Mountain Park, Matrix Hill. And one day I went up there and there was like graffiti all over one of the retaining walls. So I looked up the name of the supervisor, sent an email or just to, that. And I had not got out of the park when a Troy Schrader responded like, "We'll get on this, thank you." And the next day it was gone. So that was very impressive.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you. We try to stay up on a lot of those issues.
Yeah, and it's not a place you can drive by and look at. You have to walk up there. So I figured it was, it might not be spotted for a while by your team, but I was very impressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you work with, is it Xander Doby from the city who is, or was, maybe still is, city operations and maintenance that includes graffiti? Do you work in tandem?
I don't know that question. I know that we usually will respond to graffiti in our parks, and if it's tied to maybe a city where we might have a park within city limits or within a city piece of property, that we kind of work in tandem in those cases. But I don't really know. That's our Parks Department deals with that.
Okay. And one other question that I had, or not question, but observation that I had, I went over to Elsie Stir the other day because I teach classes there when they're open, and got a tour of the shelter that's occurring right now. Was really pleased to see that, as well as I've gotten a tour also of the severe weather shelter over at the community center across from the library. So they're both, within a few blocks of each other.
Right.
So good to see and well attended.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions for Mark?
Hi, can I suggest something here? I want to get on top of what Carl suggests, brought up the issues over the Saturn's Mountain, the hill on top of the hill. During summer, there are many teenagers, they smoke weed on the street, and then they litter all the soda can or beer cans on the local street. And then we have to clean it up a lot. Many teenagers smoke weeds on my neighborhood.
Well, you're referring to matrix cell?
No, it's not matrix cell.
You said, which you said at the top of Sexton Mountain?
Yeah.
Which top of Sexton Mountain?
Yeah.
Top of the hill by Walmart.
Oh, that's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I would suggest, I mean, is you can, call Park Patrol. We do try to, get to places as soon as we hear about it, or you can always call the non-emergency phone number for Washington County or City of Beaverton. We do try to maintain, supervision the best we can, but, we can't be everywhere all at once. And sometimes it requires assistance from the community to help us maintain that by, contacting us.
Yes.
And
yes, I understand. And also there are quite a few cars from Washington State. They came over and then they have the engine running and they will park on the street like for several hours. From Washington, that is a Washington license plate. And sometimes I call the non-emergency PD line, and then they will come over and check it out. But it happened all the time during summer.
Okay, well, I'll let our head of our security know, and maybe try to see if they can do some extra patrols over there.
Thank you, that will help.
Okay.
Thank you, Julia.
I had a question for you, Mark. You know from past conversations, I'm an avid tennis player. Is there any way to put up signs asking people not to bring kids on skateboards or whatever? Because those are really hard on the tennis court surface. I know but you know how much it costs to resurface a tennis court. And when we see people bringing tricycles and stuff, things that are really hard on the court surfaces, it's really hard.
Yeah,
come on, man. We only get them resurfaced so often.
And you're referring to the tennis courts that are out in the community then, right?
Right.
There are signs on those courts that basically say that, it's for tennis only, no bikes, no skating, no roller skates. We even have people use that as an off-leash dog park now.
Yeah, I've seen that. People bring and run their dogs in there, and we're like,
it's one of those things that, it's unfortunate, that we have some rules in place to try to protect, the assets and, protect others, and, people just disregard them. So it's another one of those things that, requires, unfortunately, people, getting involved in their community and trying to, help educate everybody. But, I'll let them know, Park Patrol know that as well.
So have you ever considered doing a reservation system for the outdoor tennis courts, not at the same rate that we pay at LC or not, at the THC tennis center, but because sometimes I've been playing tennis outside and there's been times I've had to drive around to 6 or 7 different courts and then sit outside a court for 45 minutes, which they're public use, but I thought, well, if I could actually reserve a spot and have my spot, then that would, there's been a lot of conflicts on the courts when that happens. People get very upset. Was that
last spring in general, this spring and summer, or previous years? Because COVID made it a real difficult challenge this year because of COVID, but.
A little of both. I mean, in the summer and in the spring and summer, when it gets warmer, they get very busy, but this year they've been busy. I played on New Year's Eve and I had to drive around to a whole bunch of courts. I was out there with my hat and my gloves.
This year in general, just because of COVID, more people started playing tennis than normal. I can definitely bring that up as far as a reservation system. If you come in with a permit saying, I reserve this, that other person may not want to give up their space as well. So, we have always a conflict potential, with that. That's when there's no staff around to help monitor.
Yeah, no, I had a conflict when I had a USTA match scheduled, and those we did reserve and pay for, and the guy didn't want to get off the court, and he's like, well, your thing can run over, and I'm like, no, they don't allow you to run over anymore.
Yeah.
So, but then he got off, so it was fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'll forward these to staff.
Any other questions? Mark, thank you.
Thank you.
And guess what? We're kind of like right on time. It's pretty amazing. So Miles, you are up with the city update.
So for our February news from the city of Beaverton, our city manager recruitment is underway. Beaverton is renewing our commitment to being a city that is welcoming, lively, and responsive. And we're looking for a long-term city manager to keep the community's needs and wishes at the center of all that we do. The search process for the position has already begun, which follows interim city manager appointment last year and includes hiring of an external search firm to help support. The competitive process is going to begin in March, and a decision by City Council is expected to be announced in early summer. We need the community's help identifying the ideal characteristics that will complement the work we are doing today and guide plans for tomorrow. So stay informed of next steps and opportunities to share your thoughts and be involved. If you go to the website beavertonoregon.gov/city manager, you'll be able to participate. The city manager is council appointed and oversees most city operations, departments, and the budget. This person assists the mayor and city council with putting the city's vision, priorities, and directives into action. And as you know, last year, Beaverton voters approved the new city charter. And we're kind of right in the middle of transitioning from a strong mayor form of government to a city manager form of government. It's very interesting times at City Hall. I'm going to share an equity and public safety update. So during the past year, city leadership and community members have come together to learn and explore experiences with public safety and address systematic racism within city structures and practices. We are engaging the community to expand and implement positive change. The Human Rights Advisory Commission, one of the city's boards and commissions, wrapped up the final session of the police and commission's inquiry sessions in January. I believe those are all posted on the city website if you want to view them. The finalized recommendations were made and presented to City Council during an interactive roundtable meeting on January 26. Some of the topics that they covered was police funding, transparency, policy changes, community connection, and the school resource officer program. You can view that City Council meeting on the council agenda website and then the ATRAC website for the previous meetings. And if you want to stay up to date on Beaverton's equity efforts, beavertonoregon.gov, be heard.
Miles, can you send me some notes?
I will.
Thank you.
Beaverton receives a WEFA loan. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has announced an $81 million Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act loan to the city for water system projects. This type of loan will save the city an estimated $31.3 million over the life of the loan. It'll help pay for a series of projects that will enhance the reliability and resiliency of our water system and meet the needs of a growing area. We're going to construct major transmission mains, new water connection, seismically resilient drinking water storage, and more. Project construction and operation are expected to create more than 500 jobs. And the WEFA program is a federal loan program to accelerate investment in the nature's water infrastructure. David will probably tell you all about it. And, oh, very excited about this one. The Washington County Cooperative Library Systems has eliminated all overdue fines. So they will no longer be assessing overdue fines for overdue items. And if you have any overdue fines on your account now, they're wiping those clean. This change is made because the mission of the library services is to serve all residents of Washington County equally, affordably, and with easy access. And there's been a multitude of studies that show the fines most severely impact communities of color and low incomes, and they don't actually promote people to return items on time. I'm totally guilty of having tons of library fines due. You can learn more at www.wccls.org fine free. Those are the updates I have, and if there's questions about the city, I can take those now or after the presentations.
I can add one thing. If I'm hearing feedback here, the voters forum for the city of Beaverton, the BCCI, which is the Beaverton Committee for Community Involvement, has targeted a date of Thursday, April 29th for the next voters forum, which will include, at this point, it's under discussion, so we haven't finalized it yet, the open council seat, city council seat, and also I believe, and Mark, you can help me with this, I believe that there are 3 THPRD positions open. Jim, did you do a 3?
Well, there's 3 people that are going for the open spot that
Oh,
least.
3, that's right. I knew there was a
Right.
3 in there. Okay. So yes, so for the THPRD and for the open city council seat, those I know are going to be on the voters forum, and that again is April 29th in the evening. And typically, because of COVID, we have gone from doing it live in person to a Zoom format, and TVC TV will be filming, we believe, again, and rebroadcasting as well. So, so put that on your calendars. And also, I met this morning with the Downtown Beaverton Association. I'm on one of their subcommittees, and Kevin Teeter, who's the executive director, is always looking for people within the NACs to come, and if you're interested, you don't have to, I don't have a business downtown, but I like to help network people together. And so if you're interested in any form or fashion, you can get in touch with Kevin Teeter at the Downtown Beaverton Association, and I'll have to put that up on the chat. Okay. Any other questions for Miles? All right. So our next presentation is going to be the City of Beaverton Aquifer Storage and Recovery ASR facility that is proposed on, I think it's Loon off of Scholls Ferry. And so I don't know who's going to start the presentation. Okay.
I will. Yeah. Okay. Let's get our presentation up here, and I'll introduce this while Emma is going to share her screen. Everybody see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. So again, my name is Joe Dills. I'm with Angelo Planning Group, and we're helping the city with the land use side of this proposal. So I'll kick us off, and we'll have a few of us to describe this. This is some improvements at the site that is just south of Scholls Heights Elementary. It's a stormwater facility today, but probably looks like just a vegetated area as you go by it. So we're going to describe to you what is proposed there. And we'll start with Dave Winship. This small facility has sort of a larger reason for being in managing stormwater in the area and doing sustainable water management and use of non-potable water. So Dave's going to tell us about that, and then we'll tell you about the facility itself. Oh, yeah, so he'll do the project overview. So let's go ahead to the next slide and go to Dave.
Okay. Yeah, Dave Winship. And this site is where 2 detention ponds, so stormwater runs out of Sterling Park, that was developed in the about mid-90s above Loon there, above the school. And the stormwater drains down to these ponds, and then it's released into the stream. And so those already existed and brought the stormwater in. Also, we bought two lots there and drilled a well in 2000. And that's one of 2 wells. The second well was drilled that we want to use. And so the purple pipe system is the city's initiative to be able to use non-potable water for irrigation in South Cooper Mountain for parks, schools, yards, landscaping in streets and wetlands, and then anywhere else that water is needed for irrigation. We're trying to create a sustainable, reliable source of water for irrigation, be environmentally responsible, and conserve natural resources, mainly water in the summertime from the Tualatin River, and also be financially responsible. So key benefits, non-potable water irrigation is normally supplied by the drinking water system all over Beaverton and in virtually every city in Oregon. And so we're trying to develop a different source and put that through separate pipes. It offsets cost increases and frees up our potable drinking water supply capacity. And we're able to we want to use local water, treated stormwater. Let's see, I think the next slide is essentially the purple pipe. This is a grid that we're trying to build. The first piece of pipe that went in, and all the solid line is about 1.7 miles worth of pipe that's already in the ground. And the first pipe that we put was across the high school. Steve Sparks knows all about that. And that was extended to there, and it's been extended, and we're hoping to add probably another 8 miles of pipe in all those dashed lines is the main grid, and then the lighter purple in each street are smaller pipes that would allow individual lots to connect to the system. Next slide. So the ASR facility provides a source of non-potable water for the purple pipe. And what our preference is to use, and this would be done on the site, treat the stormwater in the wintertime as it comes in, be able to store that in, there's actually 2 deep wells, 1,000 feet deep, that we would, after the water's treated, then we would store that in the deep aquifer, and then pump that out in the summer into the purple pipe. So we can also use winter potable water without using drinking water during the summer. We can use winter treated drinking water to also store and mix with native groundwater, which is the other really third source. So this leverages the city's existing assets that we've already invested in, like aquifer storage and recovery, and this facility that's been there for many years. And it is close to proximity of course, where we want to use the water, as we showed with the pipes in Cooper Mountain, and could be expanded up into the boundary, the new area, the 1,200 acres above South Cooper Mountain that was brought into the growth boundary. So that's the sum up of the background for the project.
Okay, thanks, Dave. This is Ronan and Igloria with GSI Water Solutions. I'm gonna kind of go over the site itself and the facilities that are proposed. Alex Bargmeyer with Murraysmith is also on the call. I think he joined a little bit later from the start, but he can provide a little bit of backup if there's some questions, but I'll just kind of go over a high level description of the site and the proposed development. So this is the site in question. If you think back to the map that Dave Winship showed, this is sort of in that very far east edge of that map, the Sterling Park site here on Loon, Southwest Loon Drive and Scholls Ferry. This is all city-owned property. There's 4 lots here. And as Dave mentioned, there's an existing stormwater detention and water quality ponds here. There's 2 ponds in series, basically treats and detains stormwater from above to the north. As you can see here, the Scholls Heights Elementary School is just to the north of the parcels that we're looking at. Most of the facilities itself will be kind of in these 3 smaller lots. And then we're going to be taking advantage of the space in this lower pond here to put some of the other facilities that I'll highlight. The other thing is there are some existing wells here or an existing well and then one added well, as Dave mentioned. And so we'll kind of highlight how those fit into the overall design and layout of the site. Next slide, Emma, please. So just a couple of photos. Most of you probably have seen this site off of Loon. There were a series of trees. There's several trees here in the past. Those were taken down to put the new well. So now there are 2 wells here. The first well they mentioned was installed back in 2000 or so. And then the second well, which is going to be more of the production well for the purple pipe system, was just installed back in 2019. So the area is cleared out, getting ready for the development of the rest of the facility. This is that existing access road onto the site, which is largely undeveloped. This view down here, the second photo is looking south on the lower pond. So basically from the upper pond down to the lower pond. As you can see here, there's some standing water there and a little culvert there. So there's some existing infrastructure associated with the pond functions there. Next slide, please. In terms of the proposed development, this kind of just lists the major features of the proposed development. So there's going to be a small utility pump station building, about 875 to 1,000 square feet, based on a preliminary design alignment. That's going to house a lot of the mechanical equipment associated with the aquifer storage and recovery functions and the well functions. So we mentioned there's 2 deep wells with pumps. So those will be operating, as Dave mentioned, as part of the aquifer storage and recovery function. So putting the water into the aquifer and then pulling that water back out when we're ready to put it into the purple pipe system. There's also stormwater treatment structures. And again, most of those will be in that lower pond, in the existing lower pond. And this is to achieve the water quality needed to be able to store that water in the aquifer. So there's a pre-treatment component of that with a slow sand filter. We'll see in the photo later. It's a fairly large facility, but it's to achieve a lot of the pre-treatment to get to the water quality that need. Then there's a filtration filter, another sand filter with a granulated activated carbon vault below that. And then that gets delivered up to ultraviolet disinfection facility, which will be housed within the pump station building. So that's the kind of the stormwater treatment aspects of it. There's going to be staff parking and kind of a little parking area and driveway area for vehicles for maintenance and access to the building and the site. And then there's going to be a significant amount of fencing and landscaping to provide that screening off of primarily Loon Drive. And then there's a couple of site access improvements that's associated with getting into and out of the site for maintenance. Next slide, please. So this is a site plan based on the preliminary conceptual design that we have so far. You can see here those three little lots are going to be consolidated, and that's where the bulk of the lot area and the pump station building, that small square area to the north is where the building footprint's going to be laid out. You can see the little access roads coming off of Loon. There's going to be one driveway into the main sort of parking lot pump station. Location, and then two access roads. There is going to be access to those facilities will be completely fenced off, so the folks can't get into the facilities and the equipment. And you can see the property line to the north, adjacent to the elementary school above, and that's partly one of the main reasons to have the fencing in that area.
Ronan, we're catching your audio is cutting in and out. So maybe if you could, it's not ideal, but if you could turn off your video, that might give you a little better bandwidth.
Okay.
And then just I'm mindful of the time, keep us rolling through the slides.
Yep. That's orientation right there. So let's go to the next slide. You can see some renderings. And so this is a aerial rendering looking to the east, I guess, from Loon. You can see the pump station building, the access roads that I pointed to, the larger sort of rectangular or that box feature to the top of that figure is that slow sand filter. It's the larger of the pre-treatment facility. Then it flows down into the filtration, and then the next little white sort of square there on the right side of the figure is the gap. This aerial perspective gives you a feel for what the facility will look like. You can also see the fencing around there. So let's go to the next couple of renderings here. This is a direct street view from Loon Drive into the main driveway into the pump station building area. There's a fence that'll close there. That's just shown with the fence open. You could see a little bit of the building, but there's a lot of screening there. And then the fence will close when it's not being used or accessed. Next slide. And this is looking sort of southwest from that first residence area. You can see the north access road there with the fence closing, and then a series of trees kind of screening most of the facility there. And I think is that the last rendering? Yeah, I'll pass it off to Joe again.
Okay, so we are here because it's a land use proposal as well as the public works and engineering parts we've described to you. So in the R5 district, a utility facility is a conditional use, and you may be familiar with the city's processes. It'll be a combined conditional use, a design review 3 procedure. So we'll be at the Planning Commission for this. Consolidating the lots is the replat. There will be some tree removal, and so that's what the tree plan review is all about. And the adjustment, we haven't quite gotten to final design yet, but when we know all the setbacks, we'll be able to determine whether there's an adjustment required. So our steps are shown at the bottom of the slide there, from submittal to Planning Commission hearing. Let's go to the next slide if we could, Emma. And the timing, as we know it now, is submittal in April or May. And then looking ahead beyond land use approval, there would be the bidding and the contract award and construction latter part of next winter in the early months of 2022. So that's it. Thank you for your attention. We can go back to any of the slides if you like, but Sharon, I'll take it back to you to take questions from the group, and off we go.
Absolutely. I just wanted to make one mention about anybody who's not familiar with, like a conditional use permit or R5 or any of those terms. At me being a former City of Beaverton Planning Commissioner, I understand those, but if you don't, I'm going to make a pitch here that you go to the city website under NAC resources, under which there is a land use handbook. And it talks about type 1, 2, 3, 4, all sorts of things that you can go through the ABCs of land use planning. So with that, anybody have any questions?
I do, if that's okay, Sharon.
Absolutely, please.
I was wondering if we'll have access to this slideshow. And also, I was wondering which group David is with.
So I'll start that. These sites are fenced and not really a publicly accessible site. And I'll pass it over to David to.
Were you? I'm sorry. Was she asking about the slideshow or
the slideshow?
Oh, the slides. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. Slides. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, those are public. The public owns that, and you have full access to it.
Yeah.
And I guess you asked where I'm from at the city. I'm an engineer, and I'm at City Hall, and in the Public Works Department. So there's kind of the operations part of Public Works that maintains all the streets and the stormwater and water lines and everything else. And then there's the engineering part, and we're up at City Hall.
Any other questions?
I had a question. This is Carl Sonnenberg. The purple waters that's distributed will be used for any public spaces, but is it available for private property owners, landowner, or homeowners? And if so, is it sold to them, or how does that work? Thank you.
Sure. For the piping system that we are trying, and the council's preference is to be able to provide the ability for each and every lot in South Cooper Mountain. I don't know if that slide's available, but so there's a lot of lots. There's on the order of 1,500 lots that are yet to be built, and we're trying to extend the pipelines so that individual lots could connect and with a water meter similar to like you have for drinking water, but there would be a meter for non-potable water, and the water would be billed similar to potable water, but the rate has not been set, even though non-potable water actually is flowing through the pipes during the summer. It's actually potable water for right now, but once it enters the pipes, we don't chlorinate it or anything anymore, so it's non-potable. And we're hoping that when the price is set, it will be set below the cost of potable water for an incentive.
Thank you. I wish you could run it into existing neighborhoods.
This really was an opportunity because the streets weren't in, and for us to go into existing streets, dig them up, and bury new pipes in parallel with Total's pipes that are already there would just be too expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Very cool project.
Very important work. Any other questions? I want to thank you and your team for the presentation. And I know that we will be getting minutes. Typically the teams, I think, create minutes and send them on to us, as well as Olivia doing the minutes as in addition to that. So thank you all very much for your time and what you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right.
All right.
And you can
Bye-bye.
feel free to stay or enjoy the rest of your evening
Okay.
as Stephen Sparks is about to tee up here.
Oh, I have to stay to listen to Steve.
Yeah, David, you can leave anytime. That'd be fine with me. Joe too, because Joe's so good. I don't want to be judged against him, or I don't want him to send me notes later on. So
I'm off to city council, Steve. Thanks
okay,
for
Joe.
shifting on the agenda.
All right,
Thank
good
you.
seeing you, Joe.
So Stephen, you're going to be presenting the Beaverton School District presentation and discussion of long-range facility plans for the district.
Right, let me share my screen here real quick and do my presentation here. Thank you for allowing me some time on your agenda here this evening. As Sharon said, my name is Stephen Sparks. I'm the Executive Administrator for Long Range Planning with the Beaverton School District. And what I want to share with you tonight is an update we are doing to our long range facilities plan. We last did a facilities plan in 2010, and state statute has a lifespan on these plans of 10 years. So it's time for us to update it. And the 2010 plan was important because it laid the groundwork for the 2014 capital bond. And you may recall that was the largest bond passed for a school district in Oregon at the time. And that was $680 million. You have not in the Sexton Mountain attendance area or NAC area, but you feed into one of the new schools that was constructed out of that bond, which is the Mountainside High School down there on Scholls Ferry Road in 175th. So while we're doing this plan, we are considering all the needs that we've been able to document for the district, facilities, the needs in the facilities. And this will lead to, at some point, a bond proposal from the school board. And I'll get into that more in the presentation here, but I want to emphasize no decisions have been made at all. No plan has been made. We're working on that right now. And this is to let you know kind of on the ground floor, so to speak, what's going on and hopefully have you participate in our planning process. So with that, let me go ahead and scroll through this. So all of our decisions at the district are made through a variety of criteria, but one consistent through all the decision criteria is looking at these decisions from an equity lens. And you can see here, since 2000, you can see where we have invested the most money in our projects. So we've invested money in all the buildings, but these yellow dots are the new schools, whether those are replacements or brand new schools like Mountainside. And you can see over here on the left that when we are looking at it through an equity lens, over half of our investment have been in areas of socioeconomic areas of greater need and vulnerability than those other areas that have greater job security or income or things like that. So we've been investing pretty well across the district. This is just an overview of where we have facilities across the district. We have 62 buildings and over 5.5 million square feet of floor area. And if you picture in your mind's eye, Big Pink in downtown Portland, that's over 8 Big Pinks in terms of square footage that we have in the district. So that is a lot of square to take care of and manage. And so we are a large property owner in Eastern Washington County. When we are looking at our facilities, we consider a lot of different factors. And this slide here shows the age of our facilities. We're trying to have a 75-year lifespan in our buildings. And you can see in these dark bars on this graphic that there are several that exceed that 75 years. Beaverton High School is 105 years old. Now, there are some new parts to Beaverton High School, like the cafeteria, but the majority of that building was built in 1916. So it is a very old building. And you can see also here that we have several elementary schools that are also fairly old. One of the things that we did last year is we did a facility condition assessment, and we hired a firm called McKinstry to do that for us, where they went into every single facility and they looked at every asset in each building. So everything from the floor coverings to the roof and HVAC systems and everything in between. There's almost 500,000 data points in the district that we've assessed. And what this does is it gives us a pretty accurate inventory of what systems are failing or going to be failing or are in good shape. And you can see here in these dark lines that we have several facilities where it may be cheaper in the long run to replace those buildings rather than to invest more money in upgrading the systems or things like that. And the worst performing building is Raleigh Hills out there on Scholls Ferry Road. Again, Beaverton High School is on there, as well as other elementary schools. And age is a prime factor in this, because a lot of those systems have been, kind of baling wire and chewing gum, as my dad used to say, along on some of those systems. Seismic is another critical issue. And you can see that our new schools all exceed the standards that we have. In fact, they exceed the standards required by the state. They are immediate occupancy rated buildings, so they could be used as shelters or, they're just there standing and being safe. So they are assets to the community. You can see on the dark bars, again, Beaverton High School is the lowest ranking school. And this is safety issues for us. And we are investing a lot of money as we go along, because sometimes it isn't a drastic improvement that needs to be made. Aloha High School, you may have noticed, for the past 2 summers has been closed down because a major seismic upgrade has been taking place there. And that will tremendously improve the score for that building. But again, age is really tied to our seismic scores as well, because when they were built so long ago, they were not built to the standards, the structural standards that we have today. The facility condition assessment led to a deferred maintenance program and this is for a 10-year, looking horizon for all the facilities in the district. And you can see it's a $610 million bill. We're not going to be able to do that. There's no way we can, but we can make a substantial dent if we were able to get a bond approved. And I'll just note that that 610 number drops if we were to replace schools like Beaverton High School or Raleigh Hills K-8, because the amount of money that would be put in that deferred maintenance are no longer in deferred maintenance because they're new buildings. This just shows you where the money went from the 2014 bond. You'll see that like at Sexton Mountain, it was a little over $1.5 million. I know we did a roof project out there as well as security and technology upgrades. Those newer schools didn't get as much as certainly the older schools and the replacements. So for example, Vos completely replaced, and that was almost $36 million. So from our facility inventory, we know that we have 2 facilities that are, that need to be replaced. They are expensive to operate. They're going to be expensive to repair. And so replacement is our best option. We also note that there are about 10 schools, 10 buildings that have real seismic need, upgrade need. And as I mentioned, our maintenance, our deferred maintenance is a substantial number. This map shows you where we project we're going to be in terms of capacity for attendance areas. I will note to you that as a district, we have capacity to accommodate every child that we project to be in the district in the next 10 years, so 2030. These numbers are projections. They are our best educated assessment of where things are going to be. I cannot tell you with any certainty that Sexton Mountain Elementary School in 10 years will have, there will be 18 kids over capacity. It tells us that Sexton Mountain is going to continue to operate around its capacity, and that's where we want. But you can see elsewhere that we are a declining enrollment, and in Beaverton, we are an urban district. The price point for homes is keeping out younger families. We do not have the greenfield development that we have had for the past several decades, which has generated a lot of students. So we are no longer a rocket ship to the moon type of growth of students. We are at a plateau, and it may bump along for a while, but we are projecting it to be at our, kind of where we're at right now. So one of the tasks that we have in the plan is to come up with a plan to fund needed improvements. And so we have 2 plans here that we're sharing with the community. Option 1 is a no tax rate increase. What that means is we have a capital bond that is expiring and will come off the tax rolls here in next year, I believe it is. And what that means is we would go to the voters and say, hey, can you support us in renewing that expiring tax bill? This is what the district has done for years and has not asked for a tax increase. And you can see that it would be about $325 million that we would be able to realize from that scenario. Option 2 is to ask, okay, in addition to renewing this expiring capital bond measure, we're going to ask for an additional 25 cents per assessed value, $1,000 of assessed value on property. That would generate about $725 million. So that would be an actual tax rate increase. And what these two plans would do is what we have right here. And this is really one of the important factors that we would like to hear from you is not only, can you support option 1 or option 2, but if you can, do you think that what we have identified here is correct? Are the amounts correct? Are we missing something? Are we overemphasizing something? And we should be thinking about a different amount or different projects. So you can see what we have here is in both options, we are recommending that Raleigh Hills be replaced as a building. The big difference between plan 1 and option 1 and option 2 is Beaverton High School. Option 1 would give us money to go through the permitting and entitlement process, but option 2 would give us the money to actually build the building. We also have increased in option 2, we increased a lot of our facility modernization items, whether that's security upgrades, seismic upgrades, things like that. So you can see how we have the money distributed in those two plan options. So that's it for my presentation, and I'll stop the screen share here, but I can return to any of the slides should you wish it. I do have something I'm going to put in the chat, which is a web page link. And on that web page, we have 2 videos. They're 2 short videos. One is to explain what we've done with your money from the 2014 bond. And then the second one is to identify a lot of our needs in a much more, interesting way than listening to me speak. And at the end of that, there is a reference to a survey. And we have a survey we would love for you all to, take to get your feedback on that as well. And Olivia, I know you have a question. We're not putting one more red cent into Mountainside High School. We have put more than enough money in that school. So you will get nothing and you will like it.
I'm good with my bougie high school. It's a nice place to go. I could sleep in that school. Is that nice? I think I love our school for sure.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we're looking at doing, for example, the schools being community assets, we're looking at making, working with TVF&R to make Mountainside a vaccination center. And there's enough parking, there's enough way to route people through and keep separate. So these are really excellent community assets. It's not just for Olivia.
I still think we could use some more parking in there.
Oh, good grief.
It's amazing. We looked at Mountainside as being, we outgrew the space for the voters forum. So we were looking for other spots. I went to Mountainside and it was like this, whoa, walking in there. I was just blown away because my kids went to Beaverton High School.
Yeah, and the thing is, every time we build a new school, that sets the new standard. Sharon, I know you remember it because I was there with you when we did Southridge High School, when it was new. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, Southridge. And now it's Mountainside.
Yes.
And so if we're able to, when we're able to rebuild Beaverton High School, that will be the new platinum standard.
Right. The new shiny one,
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve, was it, I'm trying to remember if it was 2014 or a different bond that was so well presented that because it had to hit a double majority, and was it 75% of the population of Beaverton did not have school-aged children?
Yeah.
And despite that, it's because the foundation of a good, solid community, in part, is education.
Yeah.
And so I was absolutely, I mean, it's all in how you frame things.
You're absolutely right. And the that you're referring to the 2000 I think it was 2000 bond.
I thought it was longer ago. Yeah, I bet
Yeah.
2014. Yes.
Yeah. And you're right. We as a district, we look at it as kind of a 30-70 split, where 30% have student in the district and 70 who do not.
Mhm.
And if you if you take into consideration people who will have children or who have had or recently have had children who used to be Beaverton School District parents, it's it's closer to even in that regard.
Okay.
But that's part of the reason why I'm coming to you and other non-school based organizations, is to make sure you're aware of this. I'm not here to campaign or anything like that, but to let you know what we're working on, because we will at some point in the future be coming to the community. And I mean, as a voter myself, I hate being surprised by things. And it's like, what do you mean you need to do X? How much is this going to cost? What alternatives did you consider?
Right.
And we as a district need to, we're very thankful for the support that we've received from the community for decades, but we can't take it for granted.
Sure. And I know that our voters forums have always, when the timing is right, have always focused on those kinds of measures and things that are going out for vote, in addition to candidates. So yeah, that's great. Great presentation.
So I'd love to entertain any questions that you might have. I just will share with you, I did put the link to the webpage in the chat. So feel free to click on that at your leisure and take a look.
And I have to tell you, I did see the video and I started the survey and then it was kind of like squirrel and I didn't finish it. So I have to go back and do it.
Yeah.
Stephen, I had a question. Hi, Alison here. On the last slide, you kind of had a breakdown of where money would be allocated in the scenarios. I didn't see music education or arts education on the programming section. So my question is, what's the current state of in-school music ed and arts ed for the district? And is it possible to include those in the proposals?
So as always, there's not a simple answer that I can offer to you here. In terms of funding music education and any of the educational programmings, that is a general fund measure, and that is not part of what we do on the facility side. But what we do on the facility side is put in money for facilities to accommodate educational programming. So let me share my screen here real quick again, and I'll scroll up to it. So if you look at school modernization, you also look at like the physical education additions, the preschool, special ed, things like that. Those are the line items that we use to fund those types of improvements. So in the last bond, the auditoriums were really big in terms of need, whether it was lighting or sound or air conditioning, all the different things about making those spaces a lot better and, bringing them up to kind of current practice and standard. That was in that bond. So in terms of the educational program and then the the school modernization, that's where you would find money for that. So while the plan does not get into the minutia of saying at at Scholls Heights Elementary School, we will invest $300,000 in remodeling a space for music or for the library or whatever. It doesn't get into that level of minutia, but what the supporting documents say is these are the kinds of things that we want to use it for, and these are the schools where we want to do it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Jim?
A quick question. Does any of these numbers take into account, or have you already figured this into this, that what changes may come through the, the new census, the 2020, is that going to have any effect on any of these projections, or has that already been figured into the, with enrollment figures and such?
Yeah, we contract with Portland State University, their population resource center, to do our forecasting projections on a 10-year horizon. And, we go off of ACS surveys, whatever Department of Commerce has in terms of, kind of pre-census surveys and things like that. So we use as current data as possible. When the census comes out, we're going to use that to go back and check to make sure that we're still, consistent, or if we need to make any adjustments.
Welcome, Mark. Any other questions? Steve, that was good. I would absolutely encourage people, like Steve said, to go to the website, view the video, and take the survey, which I promise I will. Yeah, and if you have questions, did you put your contact information in the?
I did not, and I will. I do remind people that if you want to email me, make sure it's Steven Sparks, because Steve Sparks is a very nice custodian up at Bonnie Slope Elementary School, and he is tired of getting my email. So I will put my email address in the chat, and feel free to send me any thoughts, questions, comments. More than happy to, field those from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good to see
Thanks.
you. Okay.
Thank you.
And now we are on to NAC Business. I have a question for Miles before we start with the minutes. If there are any changes that are more Scrivener than they are substantive, is that something that I can do offline or instead of here?
Yeah.
Okay. So Olivia, these were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I really, really do appreciate you doing this. So, but I will send, there's just some teeny little things that I will send you. Okay.
There's one in every group.
So, what I guess in light of that, if this is okay to do, if we can have a motion to accept the minutes as amended, knowing that they are Scrivener, is that an okay way to pose this? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So can I get a motion for accepting the minutes as amended?
Motion to accept.
Do I hear a second? Alison seconds. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise hand. All those opposed, nay, or put your hand down. Those who are abstaining, raise their hand. And the motion carries. Minutes are accepted as amended. Treasurer's report.
Yeah, real quick here. Sharon, you got my text today about the process we're going to go through to change the responsibilities of who's signing checks. We've had some changes within the NAC, so I want to get everything straightened away before we go ahead and do this, but we need to get on it. So by next month, we will have that rectified. as of last reporting in the fall, we had $3,085.20. So that's where we're at right now, and so next month we need to get together and get these our names on these as we switch over into 2021.
Excellent. Okay. So just let us know what's a good time to do this. I don't remember which bank it is.
I didn't do it last year. Was that what, I guess Miles would know.
It's the Bank of Miles.
Wait a minute.
I'd have to look it up. I'm not sure.
Okay.
That's okay, because I'm thinking in terms of if we have to go in person to do signatures and things, just to know where we're going. Okay. All right. And then there's an agenda point here that's call for volunteers. And I just want to take another opportunity to thank Alison for A, attending, B, for stepping up. For those who don't know, Elliot has moved out of the area, and so is no longer going to be the chair or involved in the NAC because he's not in the NAC anymore, in the boundaries anymore. So Alison graciously has stepped up, and I am so thrilled to have you a part of this. I've talked to Miles about maybe doing some of what we used to do and I know COVID has really put a dent in this, but what we used to do is to get together and do some planning. So as a group, Neighbors Southwest, Sexton Mountain, and the people who are on boards to sit down and like we hashed out all sorts of things for events and meetings in the past, including the RESER. Chris Azukian had come in and done some things on that. We have had the city doing program updates on arbor, one of the arborists came, or the arborist came. Friends of Trees came. Kevin Teeter from the Beaverton Downtown Association came. We've had Becky Timchuk from the school board, and she being the president has come. There's a myriad of things that we can do. And so what we would like to do, and this is not just the board, so keep in mind, Carl, Mark, people who are part of the NAC, who, if you want to see something presented, if you want to present something yourself, if you have some ideas, this is the time to let us know, because we are looking for we're predicated on land use, I know, and we have land use development folks who are coming through and doing their requisite meetings. But there are other things out there as well. Could be events, could be presentations, whatever. So feel free to contact any of us, or Miles could be kind of the central point for getting those ideas, because we will be meeting with Miles and strategic planning and doing those kinds of things for upcoming meetings.
I would just say also, the NAC is the official voice of the neighborhoods at City Hall. And so if there's city policies or ideas or procedures that you would like to see talked about at the city hall level, this would be the forum to bring it up. And this would start the communication and the feedback.
Right. And I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but Dan Rouse, I see your name. Are you willing to tell us how you found out about the meeting and what your interests are, or for this one?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to follow along what's happening in the neighborhood. I'm still interested in getting 150 fixed on the sidewalk there. So I'll start pursuing that. But
is that the one? Are you talking between Nora and Weir?
Yes.
That was the failed LID. from a long time ago. And I remember talking fairly recently with our now 2 ago mayors. It's going to take a lot, but it's not impossible. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're on this.
Just like to be a squeaky wheel, I guess. And then just following along with what's happening around.
Keep that squeaky wheel rolling, okay? And Carl, do you have anything you'd like to kind of suggest or?
No, but now that Dan mentions it, I do a lot of walking, and that's kind of a spot to avoid because you don't feel safe there. And it's not a real good driving place either because of the dips and everything.
Yeah.
It's more just, I'm an architect, so I like to kind of know what's going on in both in our area, but if there's something major in an adjoining area, that's helpful to know as well. But I don't have anything particular. It's been a very interesting meeting here about the school and the park district plans.
Good. Just out of curiosity, Dan, are you in Neighbor Southwest or are you in Sexton Mountain? You're in Sexton Mountain, right?
Yes, I'm in Sexton Mountain,
Okay,
Sierra.
okay, as you are, Carl, correct?
I'm in Sexton Mountain. I'm in an area called Vale Park, 2 blocks east of Sexton Mountain School.
Right, okay, great. So I think, Allison, what we have is the opportunity to really reach out to Neighbor Southwest as a community to sort of build them in to what's going on. And I know Shauna has signed up. She had to go and deal with a situation at home. So with social media and those kinds of things, what we can do is kind of reach out through Nextdoor, through the web, through Facebook, and ask what's important to people over at Neighbor Southwest. Okay.
I did just think of something else. This might be for Miles. It's like I went a year and a half ago, I went to these meetings about the improvements, the traffic calming on Sexton Mountain Road. So now they've got them in. And I was just curious if they're meeting the goals of what was set out to be. I think they have, just in my observation, but I still see some freaks speeding along there at high rates of speed. So it'd just be interesting to hear. And I was very proud that we beat out my son's neighborhood to get those improvements over in Highland Hills.
Yeah, there's actually funding to do both, but not enough people decided to vote either for or against the Highland proposal, so it failed. I don't know that we've done a study on those in Sexton Mountain, but in particular, but those speed bumps there's tons of studies that show that they do work. They're costly to put in, but they, some people are going to speed no matter what.
Yeah, well, these aren't speed bumps here. They're little traffic islands.
Oh yeah.
And then I hope the city's I hope they're going to maintain the landscaping in them, because that's what often happens. Those start looking shabby, and then, but so far so good.
So yeah. Carl, I'm with you. When they first started building those, I thought, wait a minute, is this it? And then they put in the signs, and then I went, oh, okay, well, there's another. And then they put in the speed signs, what you're actually doing, up and down. And I thought, okay, but I kept thinking that it was going to be speed humps or bumps. That never materialized.
The neighbors didn't want those because they make noise, especially the people that, if you live right next to one and there's a truck or a trailer going over it, it makes a big clanging noise. So that was kind of shot down at the beginning. I went to like all but one of those meetings that the city traffic engineers were at. And I thought they did a good job at presenting things.
Miles, I think, isn't Jabra doing something with traffic? And there's a meeting coming up about the way in which voting occurs, which doesn't work,
That's weird.
to try and change the process.
Traffic Commission on March 4th is going to discuss the process.
Okay, I knew it was coming up. I didn't know when. So
Yeah.
March 4th.
And either make a recommendation to City Council to change it or keep it the same. But City Council makes the final decision.
Okay.
It was an odd process because if you were really against it, you'd be better off not voting.
Yeah.
And to keep the participation down. I voted for it, but I just was thinking if I was against this, I just wouldn't vote. So
Yeah.
it seemed kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Any other business before we adjourn?
Allison, do you have a minute after the meeting? Okay. You too, Sharon.
Okay.
Sharon, I don't have to include the NAC business, right, in our minutes, or should I?
I think yes, because
Yeah,
it's all
okay.
public record.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And it was a great meeting. It really was very informative. So thank you all and stay safe. And now that we're up to 50 degrees, hey, it's
Start walking again, off, not on a treadmill. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sharon.
All right.